Yo, what's good with y'all? Major back with another video for y'all today. Going over some Metro vibes today on his production and what makes the sample so unique and organic. So I hope you guys enjoy and let's get straight to the video. So I have the sample right here. As you guys heard in the beginning, I have that original sample and it flips into the switch up where I made it a lot more dark, a lot more sinister, like some 21 Savage type stuff. So starting with the easiest part is the beginning. I went onto Splice and I just found some samples that I really like. I merged them together. If you guys want me to make a video on how to make these from scratch, let me know in the comment section down below and I'll get a video on that ASAP. The most important thing is I went back onto Splice and I got this vocal. Come unto him. Come unto him. Deliverer, the righteous one. Come unto him. Now the biggest key to Metro's production is he loves to sample. I made a video on this before, so that's what I did for this intro, and I took this sample and I just chopped up so I only had the first section repeating over and over. Then later I took this same sample and that's the vocals that I added for the dark switch up. For the first sample, the only effects I put on it was this ozone imager, just so it's a lot more wide because the original sample was very mono. And then this EQ, just cutting out some of the highs, making it a little more vintage, a little more old. And then I also put the vocals on the same mixer track so they're running through the same effects. All I did differently is at the end I chopped off the vocals and I added this little transition, and it really helps make everything a lot more smooth. You don't want to have any hard chops, quick cuts. You want to have everything blend in perfectly, and I really recommend using transitions and then putting everything around the same key. I took the vocal and I kept the switch up in the same key as the original sample so it would blend in even better. First thing I started with was that vocal chop. So I just took the first section of this sample over here. Then I went into the sample and I found the second chop, which just fit perfectly with the first portion, and I just had this very short piece of the sample that I just copied for the whole thing. There's that little sample you hear in the background that sounds kind of like melodic and happy. It does not fit the dark vibe, but I added some other instruments and other layers in between to really cover that space and take over that sound. So I added the classic vintage upright piano, but I added the close. Obviously extremely simple. I did have these other patterns I wasn't going to add, but I didn't end up adding them. So instead I just took the same notes. I just built a very strong chord. I started with my root note, which is my G sharp, and I pitched it up 7. Took the same note up an octave. After that I just put a note in the middle, which was B. A very simple G sharp minor. I just brought this down 1 and then up an octave. Same D sharp, up an octave. Same G sharp, up 2 octaves. And it was very simple, very easy. To give it some realism, I strummed them. As you can see, they're not perfectly on time. Then I messed with the velocities a little bit so it just sounded more realistic. The effects were also pretty important. I added this ambience reverb, turn the mix knob down, RC20 vinyl 3 to give it that warp effect and some noise and distortion. To make it less dry, add a little bit of delay, just turn the mix knob down a lot so it didn't take over. Then this EQ where I literally just left the mids, I took down all the lows and I took down a lot of the highs. Now the reason why I had the EQ like this is because I was going to add another piano on the lower range, which is exactly what I did next. I exported this piano with halftime on it and I chopped it up to sound like this. As you can see in this video, I'm chopping the samples up a lot, whether it's a legit sample like over here or if it's just a simple wave that you exported and you chop it up. Messing with the actual wave form allows you to do a bunch of other things and mess with the quality of the sample, create a different pattern, just find something new out of it. Just how both of them sound together. Now that also sounds a lot more full because this is covering a lot of the low range and this is covering the high range, so combined they blend very well and have their own little pocket instead of both of them fighting for the same area. Now since I already had the vocal and then the 2 pianos, they already had that dark vibe to it. Lastly, I just wanted to add like some sort of guitar, so I recorded this guitar phrase onto here with my actual guitar. For the effects, I just took the highs out so it sounded a little more dark and vintage, and I stretched it. So originally it was a lot faster, and since this sample is very slow, it just didn't fit well. I wanted it to continue with that slow pace, so I just stretched it out. It was like half speed. and that fit perfectly. I tucked it in the background so it wasn't too upfront and too loud. Now if you don't have a real guitar or you do want to add guitar layers onto this, I really recommend getting the Aviothic Tools kit. It has a separate guitar folder that comes with all these guitar phrases. That I recorded with my own guitar so you can have that same realistic sound with all these phrases just drag and drop. So yeah, there's a bunch of fire stuff in here like vocal phrases and then wind and flute phrases. First thing in the description down below leads you to my website if you guys want to go copy any of those kits. Back to the video, that was pretty much it. Like I said, I had that transition to blend everything together. And the two very last things I added on the master, I added this EQ to very slightly clean the sample up, just raising the highs, lowering some of the low mids because there was a lot, and then just this soft clipper making it a little louder. And the very last thing I did is I originally made this entire sample around 135 BPM. Before I exported it, I boosted it up to around 154, so it was a lot more up tempo. Pitched it up 200, giving it that very speed effect, and this is the final sample. So that's pretty much it. A very simple sample, but obviously captures that nice feeling to it. Don't be afraid to sample any of your favorite songs or records or go on Splice and get these cool ideas and then chop it up and flip into your own stuff. That's what Metro does a lot in his work. A lot of his most popular songs are all famous samples. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy and learn something new, if you guys did, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any more videos. If you are in need of any new sounds, make sure you guys click the link in the description. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed, I'll see you on the next video.